Most LSAT advice just flat out sucks. Everybody tells you to just do more practice tests, like somehow volume alone is gonna fix everything. That's like trying to get stronger by taking more fitness assessments. Hey, I'm not improving at the gym. Maybe I should just keep stepping on the scale. The thing is, the LSAT is not a test of memorization. It's a test of skill. And skill doesn't improve just because you try harder. Skills improve because you practice the right things in the right order with the right feedback. Back when I started studying, I was scoring in the low 150s. I studied for hours every single day. I took test after test, thinking that working harder would somehow automatically lead to improvement. It didn't. But once I stopped treating the LSAT like a college class and started treating it like a sport, everything changed. And my score shot up to a 175 on my official test day. And these same concepts helped my student JT go from 158 to 172 and get into Yale Law. These same concepts helped Miranda go from 159 to 167 on a retake without spending thousands of dollars on a course. And they helped my student Amy go from choking at a 165 to calmly crushing a 176. So let's talk about the 4 concepts that actually work. The first is stop doing practice tests. Instead, start building your foundation, because practice tests don't make you better. They just measure where you are right now. If all you do is take test after test, you're like a chef who keeps tasting soup but never adds seasoning. It's just salty disappointment over and over. You've got to build the skill first, then measure. Here's how you do it. First, you want to ID your weakest section or question type. You drill that one thing over and over until you can hit 90% accuracy untimed. Only after that, start adding timing, first in drills, then in sections, then in full tests. My student JT, for example, stopped doing full tests for 6 weeks and drilled one skill at a time. His next full test, he jumped 12 points. My student Leia kept taking test after test and stayed stuck in the low 160s. But once she switched to isolated skill drills, she finally broke into the 170s. The biggest mistakes people make? Mixing too many skills at once and timing themselves too early. Think of it like learning to play the piano. You don't play the whole concerto when you can't even nail a single scale. And when we work with students, this is usually the first thing we fix, and it's often the fastest win they ever get. And by the way, if you're looking for support to get your LSAT breakthrough, I'm offering free one-on-one LSAT tutoring lessons to everybody out there watching this video right now. You can get your free lesson at unpluggedprep.com/start or take a photo of the QR code up there in the corner. The second big concept is to read for structure, not speed. Most people treat LSAT reading comp like a race. They think if they read faster, they're gonna have more time for questions. But reading faster only helps if you actually understand what you read. If you rush through and forget everything, congratulations, you now get to waste double the time rereading. The trick is to read for structure, not speed. You're not trying to memorize every single detail, you're building a map. After each paragraph, pause for a couple of seconds and label its job. Ask yourself, is it introducing the main idea? Is it explaining a problem? Is it presenting someone's argument? Or is it giving the author's rebuttal? Also, track the viewpoints. Who's talking? Is it the author? Is it a critic? Is it a researcher? And also notice when the tone shifts. That is usually where the test hides its hardest questions. For example, my student Miranda used to read way too fast and constantly get lost. But when she started slowing down and tagging paragraphs, her accuracy went up, and weirdly, so did her speed. My student Brian would highlight everything like it was a crime scene, but once he switched to paragraph mapping, his comprehension doubled. Here are the main mistakes to avoid. The first big one is over-highlighting, because if everything's important, nothing's important. The second is rushing your first read, because every second you save, you lose 3 rereading later. So slow down and build the map. Once you can see the structure, reading comp turns into an open book test. The third big concept is to train your brain for test day pressure. On test day, your brain is a drama queen. You sit down, you open your first section, and suddenly you forget what words even mean. Your heart's racing, your palms are sweaty, and you're trying to remember why you ever thought law school was a good idea. That's why you've got to train under pressure before test day. First, I want you to simulate test day conditions. Sit in a quiet room, same materials, same timing, and no distractions. Use reset rituals. Between questions, one deep breath. And tell yourself the next one's a fresh start. It works. And finally, practice with the clock hidden. If you're obsessed with the timer, train without it until the last few minutes of the section. My student Amy could hit 177 in practice, but she would freeze on her practice tests. But after 2 months of pressure simulations, she scored a 176 on her official LSAT. My student Marco used to check the time every 30 seconds, but once we finally hid the timer until the final 5 minutes, his pacing and accuracy both improved. The biggest mistakes? Only practicing in perfect conditions and ignoring mindset completely. You don't rise to the occasion on test day, you fall back on your training. And if your training includes pressure, you'll show up calm yet confident when it counts. And the fourth big concept is to review the right way. Most students review like they're scrolling through Yelp. They see what went wrong, they shrug, and they move on. But real review means diagnosing your mistakes. You want to explain your reasoning before looking at the answer. Then you want to diagnose the error. Was it a misread, a logic gap, a trap answer? And finally, resolve the question untimed until it feels easy. My student Devin used to check answers right away and never improved. But once he started explaining every answer before looking, he jumped up 7 points in 1 month. My student Hannah went full data nerd. She would track every mistake by type, then drill just those patterns. She went from 164 to 171 without adding more study time. The biggest traps here are checking answers too soon and skipping the resolve step. The real growth happens after your test, not during it. Every wrong answer is an opportunity to learn something new. So here's how to put all of this together. First, build the foundation one skill at a time. Then layer in structured reading. Third, add pressure training so your skills show up under stress. And finally, review deeply every single day. Each piece supports the next. The foundation makes structure easier, and structure makes pressure training smoother, and pressure training makes test day predictable, and deep review ties it all together. This exact sequence is the difference for our students between random improvement and predictable improvement. Now, let me be blunt. If you keep studying the same way, nothing changes. You'll take test after test, your score will barely move, and you'll tell yourself, well, maybe I'm just not a logic person. But the thing is, you are a logic person, you're just training wrong. The LSAT doesn't reward effort, it rewards precision. It rewards those who train the right way, in the right order, with deliberate review. You can either change your process or change your expectations. Those are the only two options. You can keep doing what everyone else does, random tests, shallow review, and frustration, or you can prep like the top 1%. And if you want help mapping this out for your situation, you can book your free LSAT tutoring lesson with me in the link below in the description, unpluggedprep.com/start, or take a photo of the QR code up there in the corner. This is the same framework that helped our students go from being stuck in the 150s to top 1% scorers and getting them into schools like Harvard, Yale, and Stanford. It works if you work it.